When I was growing up, playing basketball was my absolute favorite thing to do. And when you're playing in youth sports leagues and you're really young, they don't keep track of the score of your games. And so I would use that to rationalize why we actually did win a game, even if the final score might not have actually reflected that if we were keeping track. Yeah, well, he traveled on that play, so that was bullshit. Yeah, that kid is 3 years older than me, so they lose 10 points. I had a boo-boo, so we're just going to chalk this one up as a dub. And I was happy to do this. Maybe the only thing that I knew was that I was good at basketball because that's what my parents told me, and that's what other kids' parents told me, and that's certainly what I told to myself. But when I was about 8, they started keeping score at the games that I played in, and something very uncool happened. My team lost in a game where the score was recorded for the first time. It was objective, it was on paper, and I cried a lot. And I remember pretending that I had hurt my leg, not just to grasp at any last excuse that I could possibly have for losing, but also to cover up the fact that I was as upset as I was. My whole life to that point, I was living in this bubble where everything good that happened to me was because I was smart or talented, things that were inherent about me. And that day, that bubble got shot with like a big gun. Someone was better than me on that day. And because everything good that happened to me was because I was smart or talented, that means that everything bad that happened to me was because I was dumb or incapable. This was a bad way for 8-year-old me to process losing, and I hate to tell you this, but if you don't play competitive Super Smash Bros, then you probably have the mentality of an 8-year-old in that way. And I know you're probably thinking, Mikey, you're just lashing out at us because of interactions that you've had with other people where you were really enthusiastic about something and they didn't respond in the way that you wanted them to which I say, I am accepting any and all fates in my front yard. Sorry. Let's back it up here. You certainly know about Super Smash Bros. You probably love Super Smash Bros. It is an incredible love letter to video games, executed with unmatched care and detail. Even at its worst, Smash has afforded players with unprecedented control over their favorite characters from the Nintendo universe and beyond. You get to pilot the NES mech and make that baby fucking fly. It feels amazing. But most of the tens of millions of people who play Smash don't even really begin to scratch the surface of what the game has to offer in its entirety. Sure, the casual experience of Smash is great, but there's so much more if you would just stop playing World of Goddamn Light. How did we let them get away with this? Next time, spend your money fixing the netcode. We know it's possible. Whatever. I've been a part of the Smash community for about 6 years now, and it has absolutely changed my life. I've traveled all around the country to compete and commentate at major tournaments. I've made a ton of friends. I even host a pretty big tournament myself called Smash Camp. And my experience in the community actually got me my current job as an esports tournament organizer. This all started when I turned on the scoreboard against my friends. Let me explain. I didn't play a whole lot of video games when I was a teenager, but I had really fond memories of Super Smash Bros. From childhood. Here's me, circa 2002, dressed up as Mario for Halloween, and my brother in what I think might legitimately be America's first Roy cosplay. In college, though, a few people that I knew were getting together and they had a Smash set up, and I was down to play, but I got absolutely tossed. And from then, the seed was planted within me, the very same seed that lives inside of every competitive Smash player. I wanted to double clutch reverse dunk on these motherfuckers. I wanted to be the best among my friend group. This was around the time that Smash 4 was announced, and my friends and I would get together on occasion and play Smash, but me and my brother were playing all the time at home. Eventually, we discovered Project M, which led us to Melee, which led us to going to tournaments. And going to those tournaments was an amazing experience. I think it was the first time in my life where I was going to compete in something without the expectation of winning. In fact, I fully expected to lose. And everyone goes through this. Of course, you lose and you lose and you lose over and over again when you first start going to tournaments. But you don't care when you're a new player. It all feels like part of this new, exciting experience. I wanted to share that experience with my friends and also flex a little bit about how good I had gotten at the game, but when I did that, something weird happened, as you might have guessed by that literal flex a couple of minutes ago. We would play, and I would win, over and over and over again, and when that happens, you go from what's called unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. In other words, you go from being blissfully ignorant to acutely aware of the 0 to death combo that just happened to you. And when that happens, there's a bit of a fork in the road. And in some circumstances, that's very motivating to people, and that's what happened to me. But in a lot of circumstances, that is incredibly alienating to people. I would ask if anyone wanted to play, and it seemed like my friends would rather do anything else. Remembering how this feels still makes me kind of uncomfortable to talk about this thing that I'm so passionate about and has become my career. When you show people the score when they're adults, they usually don't cry. They just leave. But what are they missing out on?
That's it. Whoa, the up, he was so smart. Shot out of shield. Woo! Rubbing horribly.
Oh, and this is it.
Oh my God! Well, that comeback. Okay, the crowd is going nuts. What's he gonna get here? Up smash, Thunder, 85, he's on stage, is your Smash Summit 8 champion!
Oh God! Oh! What?
I'll say it. Super Smash Bros. Is the most compelling video game series ever to be made by a country goddamn mile. And if you're watching this video, chances are you have everything that you need to be off to a flying start in the competitive Smash community. The number one thing that I hear from people outside of the scene is that the level of skill required to play seems unattainable for them. And that is absolute bullshit. I wouldn't dissuade the worst player in the world from going to a Super Smash Bros. Tournament for that reason. So, let's talk about getting good. My friend Ipangu told me something last year that changed the way that I think about esports and why they're so interesting to people. Let's say that you're watching Rafael Nadal play at the French Open and he is absolutely tearing it up on the clay. It is inspiring and it is captivating and it makes you want to pick up the racket. You go to a park with a tennis court and you find somebody to play with and you try to mimic what Rafael Nadal does. And let's be honest, you probably pull a hammy. Even if your body is capable of doing what he does, playing tennis at a high level is such a fluid and unconscious process that you probably would never be able to replicate what he does. If you see somebody performing a combo in Smash, you can know within 5 minutes exactly what inputs that player did to perform that sequence of actions. And people of any ability can play Super Smash Bros. Effectively. I've seen people play with one hand, with their feet, with their face, and still play at a high skill level. What somebody's actually saying when they say that they'll never be good at Smash is that they enjoy the game, but they lost once, and so now they've placed a value judgment on themselves that they're bad at the game. This is called having a fixed mindset. When you were a baby, how did you first learn to walk? Well, you tried to walk and you fell down repeatedly until you became the walking machine that you are today. Did anyone at that time expect you to be really good at walking? Did anyone tell you to get your shit together now or else you're going to be bad at walking forever? Of course not. Nobody would expect that. So why should you expect any different as this tiny baby trying to play competitive Smash for the first time? That feeling of expectation begins when you're trying to protect your ego from the feeling of incompetence. It's scary to think about giving your all to something and still failing, but that's really the only way to improve at anything. I think as a person, you kind of have to let yourself be vulnerable in this way about something, whether that's a sport or a video game or music or some sort of trade or skill. Making even incremental process feels amazing when you're willing to learn and change to improve. Like I said, I spent a lot of time when I first started playing competitive Smash losing every match that I played, and it felt great. Speaking of which, let's talk about Smash tournaments, and we'll continue with the tennis analogy, since almost all of this is just ripped from Inner Game of Tennis anyway. So I want to play in the French Open. What do I have to do? Well, I need a tennis racket, like probably a really good one. Then I need to be either in the top 104 tennis players in the world, or win a qualifying tournament of other top-level tennis players, or have some sort of other tennis accomplishment that would warrant what's called a wild card qualification. Well, shit. Now, what do I have to do to enter Genesis, the most prestigious Smash Bros. Only tournament in the world? Well, I have to grab my controller, pay $100, and head to NorCal. Even the most important Smash tournaments are completely open entry, meaning that you'll be playing in the same tournament as the best players in the world. The best part about these tournaments, though, is that you can sit down at a setup with somebody from across the country or even across the world and ask them to play, and they will almost always say yes. These tournaments are great for improving at the game, but they're even better for meeting other players. Well, what if I wanted to host or commentate the French Open? Jesus Christ, I wouldn't even know where to start. But to commentate Genesis, all I did was gain experience by commentating at my local tournaments for a few years. And to run Smash Camp, all I did was email the camp I went to in 5th grade and ask if they wanted to do something there. And last year, we had 5 of the top 10 Melee players in the world in attendance. The Smash community is incredibly accessible, even when compared to other esports. And in non-coronavirus times, there's probably a local tournament in your town or somewhere close to it, anywhere in the US or Canada or even most of Europe. Even if you're not really interested in commentating or organizing or being a top player, being part of a competitive community can be an enriching force in your life, especially for people who might otherwise find video games to be an isolating factor. I found Smash at a time in my life when I was really struggling to make new friends, and I think a lot of other people have that experience too. Being around people who are as enthusiastic as you are about the same things that you are feels like a sanctuary, and the Smash community basically forces you to be in that environment. Here's the problem. I'm saying this as a straight cis white man. I have never been subject to harassment or assault. I have never heard a slur meant to demean my personhood. The Smash community has a real problem with these things, and if there's one thing that you've heard about it in the past year, it's probably the many disturbing stories that members of our community were brave enough to share. It would be dishonest for me to tell you to join our community without mentioning that. Thankfully, there are people doing really good work in our community to try to make it a safer place. Dr. Piggy heads up the Code of Conduct panel for the Smash community without pay. It is an incredibly thankless job, and she does amazing work to help tournament organizers keep their players safe. We need 1,000 more Dr. Piggies, and the Smash community needs more of a change than just to ban offenders. We need a complete culture shift. That falls to literally everyone in the community, and it can start with something even as small as having a conversation with a friend about a hurtful joke that they made. I think Bobby Scar put it best when he said this.
What gives me strength is the idea that I think Melee is fucking dope, and I think anybody who thinks that it's dope should be able to play it without a problem, right? And so if anybody's creating a problem for somebody who wants to play Melee, then I feel like they've got a problem with me. So that's what lets me feel strong and saying like, yeah, I'm a cuck. I'm simping for anybody who wants to play Melee.
I take that as gospel, even that last part. I hope that we can be better, and I hope that ultimately the story of the Smash community is one that's worth telling, and I hope that you'll help us make that happen, because there's so much to be gained if we can do it. So, you have your controller, you've watched some VODs, and since it's 2020, you fired up your Switch and plugged in your LAN adapter, and you're ready to play in your first online Smash Ultimate tournament. This is great, right? Well, there's one thing that I've been dancing around this whole time. What if I told you that there's another game that you should play? One with a die-hard community, a fantastic online experience, and impossibly beautiful and complex gameplay. Well, in my next video, I'm going to be talking about why Nintendo abandoned competitive Smash and why, as a result, Super Smash Bros. Melee is the greatest esport of all time.